Welcome, everyone. Yes, another drink while you think. I'm your co-host, Kenji.
I'm Matthew.
And look who we got with us today. It's our buddy,
Woo!
Kelvin. Woo! Kelvin is here. Always exciting days on Drink While You Think when it's not just me and Matthew. We actually have a guest. We got a great guest. This is going to be a ton of fun today. Kelvin, tell us what's going on with you, man. Who are you, and what are you drinking today?
Who am I? I'm Kelvin from Canada, the Great White North, and it is freezing up here. I checked it out. It's -4 Fahrenheit because I couldn't do the math in my head quick enough. So -4. We got about 3 inches of snow in the last hour. It's fun.
Wow.
We got our own accounting company up here, though. For people that don't know me, it's called 2080. We had that. Still have it. It's been about 7 years. We focus on part-time controller, part-time CFO services. And that gave us the fun idea of starting up our own app called Helm, which does cash flow forecasting and payments too.
Ooh, we're going to dig into that stuff.
I know, it's exciting.
And it's really cold here too. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you can put that away. Just put a little minus in front of that, and that'll make me feel slightly better.
Yeah,
I was feeling bold going outside today. now I feel a little wussy.
And what I'm drinking.
Yeah.
Guinness.
Oh,
it's my favorite.
Classic.
Lived in Scotland for a year, and now I'm addicted to Guinness.
That's the extra stout. That's not the stout.
Yes,
they're the big.
That's
big
classic.
distinction.
The thicker, the better. Puts more hair on my chest, which is not what I need.
You
Fantastic.
You and I are similar style beer drinkers, just for the record. So
perfect.
Well, we
don't need to talk about your chest hair, though.
No, we do not. We don't need.
We don't talk about our facial hair because Kenji and I are in a beard growing contest. We're in month 7, and then you guys can see how far we got.
We don't do it. Hair. I'm losing hair, so let's leave hair out of this whole. We just watched viewership crash right there in the last 60 seconds because.
Probably.
Well, we're
three
accountants talking about my hair. You can just see the shine off my head right now.
So we got a special beer we're drinking today. So Kenji and I are both drinking it because I hooked this up. Kai's one of the folks we work with, but it's the Tiger Shark Stout. And if you don't know me, but I volunteered with Georgia Aquarium for 7 years for a long time. So it was a near and dear place to my heart, and I love stout beers. So I don't know how we can go wrong with this one.
Matthew's super excited about this. Yeah, this is
you know the backstory on this beer better than me.
Yeah, I do. So this is so again, Kai, who works in customer success, one of our awesome team members. She also handles all the editing. So whenever Drink While You Think looks good, that means Kai's been involved. Whenever it's bad, that's me and Matthew. So a huge shout out to Kai. And her partner Joe works over at a company. And Joe, I met up with Joe this week. And Joe, I'm going to show this, give them a shout out. Joe works at Rev Coffee Roasters, and they worked with Atlanta Brewing Company. And because this has got some dulce de leche and coffee kind of in it. So it came from Rev Coffee Roasters. I went over, had a coffee, grabbed some beans, hung out with Joe for a little bit. She's awesome. And they hooked us up with this beer. So cool collaboration between Rev Coffee and Atlanta Brewing. We're going to rate these a little bit later. I already have a feeling like it's going to get rated very high, almost regardless of what it tastes like, because people gave us free beer and it's supporting a cause that's very near and dear to Matthew. So cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
We're drinking good winter beer. Oh, that's good.
Kelvin, I don't know if you know this, but Kenji's a snooty beer drinker. He has to have it in a glass. He can't have it out of the can.
Okay, so this would be a faux pas then, directly. I was wondering about that, if I should put it in a fancy glass.
You're in Matthew's, yeah.
You're in mine. I told you.
Gotta watch the drip too. That's the best part about Guinness, right?
Yeah.
That's right, man. You got to see all that stuff. So, all right, let's get into it. The Great White North, specifically what? Calgary?
Calgary, Alberta. Home of the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, I mean, so Calgary's not known for accounting, really, is it? What is it? Isn't it like huge oil and gas? Isn't that what?
Yeah, it's big time oil and gas. But we're basically Texas North, probably Houston North would be the best way to put it.
Oh,
tons of oil and gas. Yeah, that's what we're that and our Calgary Stampede. If you ever come here in July, you'll literally think everybody just wears sequins, cowboy hats, and drinks beer all day.
Really?
Yep. It's fun. If you ever want to have a great trip, Calgary Stampede. It's amazing.
Calgary Stampede. I mean, is there something happening like at Calgary Stampede? Is it like a rodeo or something? Or is it like a...
Yeah, it's the big rodeo. It's probably, I think it's 10 days. It's one of the largest in the world. It's the greatest outdoor show on earth. But yeah, it's 10 days, huge fairgrounds. The city basically shuts down for that entire 10 days. Free breakfasts all week, pancake breakfasts. Can always find one. It's awesome. You gotta come in July, and the weather's beautiful.
Yeah, we'll come as soon as you guys let us in.
Yeah.
That might not happen for a while. Maybe 2022.
Yeah. It's Canada does not seem to really want to let us in. I understand that why they would not, but
I think
it would be good.
Cruise lines today, something like that.
Some of my favorite accounting people are in Canada too.
You're literally reading my thoughts. I'm like, I feel like there's something up with Canada and like some of our favorite accounting people and like innovators. I mean, obviously Kelvin's up there, you and TWyla, Ryan Lazanis. I think about people who are really kind of at the front of the industry. Ryan Lazanis, Rachel Fish, Chad Davis.
All the Verify Q guys are there.
Brian Clare.
All the best people.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a bunch I'm missing, but I'm like, yeah, there's kind of actually a really, I don't know, I feel like there's kind of a Canada hotspot for like, the modern kind of cloud accounting. Is that, I mean, are we right about that? Or are we just like, no, we just happen to know the few cool people who are there?
I don't know. Maybe it's because it's super cold up here and we've got nothing better to do. I don't know. But no, I actually think it's a pretty innovative country. There are a lot of people that are really pushing the envelope, like even here in Calgary, for people that aren't well known. There's a lot of firms here in Calgary that they push the tech. And I don't know why that is. I have no clue what that route is, but the tech, like anything cloud, is really taking off.
Interesting.
Seems to be
interesting.
That's
so
great.
So that kind of is a good way to transition into a little bit of your origin story. I mean, so 2080, talk about that, because I feel like we may have somehow, I can't remember, connected, or maybe right when Helm was coming out, but 2080, would you kind of describe that as a fractional CFO, kind of cloud CFO firm? How did that start?
Yeah, we started out because I worked in oil and gas, shocking, being in Texas North. And essentially what would happen in those businesses is you'd drill your properties, you'd prove them up, and then you'd sell to the mid-cap companies, and then those guys would sell to the large cap companies, and then they just continually cycle. And so the group that I was with, we were junior selling to mids. We would always kind of recycle those companies. But the guys were a lot older than I was. And so that last round, which was 8 years ago now, starting to date myself, 8 years ago now, they decided to retire. And so I needed a job. And I don't have the geological engineering expertise. So I said, well, I'm really good with numbers. I always did the finance, CFO, controller side on all of the businesses. And it's like, looked around and I said, I can do that for oil and gas companies, for all these other junior guys. And so we started out, that's actually what we started out doing. We started using like Microsoft Dynamics Nav, all these really huge custom software packages. And then we started advertising, and that's exactly the opposite clientele that we got, which then introduced us to Xero. I knew nothing about Xero, nothing at all. I knew nothing about cloud tech. I knew QuickBooks. Everybody knows QuickBooks.
Yeah.
But we had a couple of customers come in with Xero, and I'm like, okay, well, what's this little blue thing that I got to check out? I looked at it, and then I actually looked at Hubdock at around the same time too, because I actually think Jamie Schulman gave me a call, and I told him to get lost because he was bugging me. But then I looked at his app afterwards. We're friends now, so I can say that.
I think all of us have told that to Jamie at one point or another, I think. So.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're prototypical grinder, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I looked at Hubdock, and honestly, once I saw the two combined together, it blew my mind. Because I'm sitting there, I'm working with these huge ERP systems, trying to do project costing, like depreciation took days out of my weeks just doing that. And you could buy Xero and Hubdock for like $50, and it eliminated like days out of my week. And that's, as soon as I saw that, my mind just shifted. It's like, this is where we need to go. This is where 2080 needs to go. We need, like, screw oil and gas. We need to do this for all the small mom and pops out there. they're really good at their widgets and their services, but they need bank financing. They need, setting up all of their accounting systems. They need point of sales. Like they need all of that stuff. And so that's where we went. And when I say we, it was actually just me at the start, and we took off like a rocket. And doing that, it's like, oh crap, like I need help quick. And so my old roommate, his wife was TWyla, who now works with FreshBooks. So we became business partners, and it was 3-4 years of just solid growth, and that's all we really focused on was part-time controller, part-time CFO work. We did bookkeeping and we did tax returns, but we really loved the monthly engagements and really helping people with how to improve their business lines, KPIs, and how do you actually take your business from here to what your dream is. That's what we really love to do. And it was cool. Like it was an amazing ride. Still is. The company still exists. It's just we spend a lot less time on it.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you guys really, in certain similar ways to us, we're kind of an advisory. We always say the CFO and controller practices are kind of our advisory practice. Kind of started there first and led us into other places like bookkeeping and tax. But how where in this story does a CFO, a firm owner, suddenly go, you know what? I'm gonna do a tech startup as well. How in the hell does that happen?
Especially when you had a high growth firm. A lot of people ask me that. They're like, what were you thinking? Like, like you were doing really good. Not that we're doing bad, but you guys had this high growth trajectory. Like you were some of the darlings in the Western Canada zero startup land. Ultimately what happened was we looked at it, and we were big users of Futurely, Fathom, like a lot of these higher end strategic forecasting systems. They weren't fitting our client needs exactly. They served a purpose. If you wanted that strategic level service, you needed the 5-year view. How do we get there? What does that roadmap look like? That tech was much easier to use than Excel, but it still took like a day or two to rejig those models every time we did it. And we were finding that within our client base, a really big need was simply what's happening in the next 12 to 18 months, because these people are going to their banks all the time. They're trying to get financing. That's all the bank cares about. It's like, well, what's happening in these next 12 months? That's what we want to know. You tell us what's happening there. And that's all that the business owner wanted to know about, because beyond 12 months, it's like, well, we've got these lofty goals and we want to get there, but it's much more ubiquitous and a lot more subjective in terms of what that looks like. But the next 12 months can be really, really concrete. I need to buy this equipment, I need to do this here, and I need to do that there. And the reality is everything changes, especially in small business. Like as soon as you've got like COVID, that's a huge change, but it could be something as simple as that piece of equipment was 20% more than what you thought it was supposed to be. And so there was all these little changes that always added up to, it was really hard to rejig those systems, in a day or two and make it cost effective for our client to offer that service across the board. And so that of course got us thinking, it's like, well, we should check out into the 700 plus apps that are in every ecosystem and see what's out there. And we still didn't find anything that met our needs. That's what got us, we're too entrepreneurial is essentially what happened, because that's what triggered us. I can still remember the meeting. It's like, man, wouldn't it be cool if you could do, this in terms of cash flow forecasting, and you could do it in a visualization. So it's an interactive table as opposed to just a spreadsheet. And then wouldn't it be cool if you could do payments off of it? And I still remember TWyla saying, yeah, that would be cool.
And then you guys are just crazy up as entrepreneurs. I mean, both you guys have kids and things like this. Like, it's also like, it's not like there's nothing going on at 2080 or at the home front like this. Like, you got kids running around all over the place. So yeah, that's some hardcore entrepreneurial side there.
But I think it speaks to the roots of why we got into what we did, though, even with 2080. Like Helm is the same premise. It's ultimately what drove us in both of those business lines was we're both from entrepreneurial families. We're both entrepreneurs. And our way to help people was simply by, we knew numbers really well. And we knew how to help people using those numbers. And Helm and 2080 are the same thing. Like the mission and why we exist is the same for both of those companies. It's literally helping the small business owner achieve their dreams, at a high level. It's just supporting them.
Yeah, I would say so I'll throw this to Matthew. How many times do you think over the times you and I have been business partners, have we talked about like, how cool would it be if we started a tech company? Like, I don't know, is the over under like 200,000? Is that where I'd set that at to be?
Yeah.
I mean, we
No less
never,
no less than
figured it
30
out.
got to the whiteboard.
Zero have ever made it into fruition, but like,
Never.
I think we've always had a huge like just desire to do that. When we see someone like you and TWyla do that, we're like, oh, that's badass. Like that, they actually went and did it. You know, we get jealous of that.
Envy. SaaS envy is the best.
Totally envy. Yeah, like totally envy. I mean, because
not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, I was gonna say, 'cause it's all sunshine and roses. I'm sure it's just all wonderful. But how do you? Okay, so how then now? I know you kind of referenced this a little bit earlier. How do you balance like or split out your time or the way you think about your responsibilities with 20? You got a couple from 2080, which I assume. I don't know if you have investors in that. I doubt it. Most firm owners don't. But like then all of a sudden you've got this other tech startup and things where there's like, how do you balance your time out? Like how in the world do you manage those two worlds? They're so different.
I think I always go back to Warren Buffett always said, you can only pick 3 things to do in life. And that can be like eat, sleep, and work out. But you can only pick 3. And so there's no, I actually believe, you know, if you want to like dive into something, the concept of balance, it's not really there. So when I look at what we're doing, the concept of balance is I just work a lot, but that's okay by me because it's my passion. It's not actually work to me. I love to do it. It gets me all jacked up. But my 3 things are eating, my family, and my work. So I just don't sleep or eat or work out, which probably pisses my wife off.
Oh man, I love it. That is phenomenal. And then, so I mean, yeah, that's just a lot of, you know, trying to manage all those things is incredible. And then, I mean, no surprise probably to any of us. I shouldn't say no surprise, but like, and then TWyla, you know, your co-founder and partner and all that, and it'd probably be more fair to have her on here. We probably should have asked TWyla to be on here. That would have classed
She can
this
be on
up.
another show. You guys can have your Chardonnay.
We'll have her on another show. That'll class this whole thing up. I mean,
Totally.
Just us
She's way more
us
classy than me. She's a lot smarter too.
Yeah, us boys here just like, you know, acting like a bunch of idiots. We know how that works, but TWyla would class it up. But I guess with her going, you know, over and your partner in 2 of these things and then taking, you know, which is a very cool role over at FreshBooks. I think she's leading the accounting channel. That probably adds even more to you too. So like, that's just like, hey, you've got 2 different businesses and you've got, and I think TWyla is still involved to some extent helping you out, but like all of a sudden, like, how did that change how you had to work on the businesses a bit? I mean,
well, from the accounting side, it was easy, right? Like you guys know, I mean, your firm's bigger than ours, and you run the gamut of the same stuff that we do. Like it's all about your team. So if you've got the proper support underneath you, life's just way easier. And so on the accounting side, I had to find the right team member to kind of backfill what TWyla was doing. And not an easy task. So to be quite honest, we did actually acquire a couple of our not so great clients at that point. It was an opportunity to do that. But I found the proper team member, and 2080 for the large part kind of runs on its own right now, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Because that allows me to focus on the tech side. So
which,
it's fun. SaaS envy. I still have SaaS envy, even though I'm in it.
Oh man, we have it all the time. We're not even in it. Matthew and I still have it all the time. So going over to back to the SaaS, the tech side, you guys, I think this was Q4 last year, went and built up a pretty cool partnership integration with another one of Acuity's tech stack partners, Veeam.
Woo!
Yeah, talk about that. Like, how did that come about? What was the, you know, you talked about payments being an important concept you guys had in Helm.
Totally.
How did that all come about with Veeam?
Totally. So like what we talk about on the back end of Helm is we don't want to be just another reporting tool. And that's what a lot of apps out there are, which is great. You know, there's a need for reporting. I'm not saying that there's not. It's just from a competitive standpoint, why would we ever enter the market and compete against the likes of Fathoms and Giraffes? Like these guys are amazing at what they do. They're amazing tools. There's no need for us to replicate what they're doing. What we really thought on our workflow side was there's a big miss in terms of the controllership function. Like, I can talk to you guys about that because you know what that means, and the people that are watching the show knows what it means. If I'm talking to a business owner and I say controllership, it's just, I don't get it. But it's the physical management of cash. And so again, going back to what we were doing for our clients, that was a huge value add item. Like when we looked at our service lines, it was payroll and bill pay were number 1 and number 2 of our service lines. Like those were the easiest hooks to ever get with a new customer coming in the door. And so when you're looking at that secondary piece, bill pay, it's like, well, I'm not in the business day to day. I don't know what's actually going on. So the only way that I can do your bill pay properly is to actually forecast into the future what your cash position is going to be like using the information that I know, which is just talking to you, my client. So that's where the short-term cash flow forecasting piece came in. And so when I say we don't want to be reporting, we actually want to automate as much of that controller function as we can. That's our unicorn goal. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to hit. And so we've done the forecasting piece, so we have the future looking optics on it. But now that payment piece comes in. So as a practitioner, what I can now do is exactly what we were doing as 2080 controllers, is cash management. It's like, coming in here, I'm talking to you, my client, we're going to stick handle, being a Canadian term. We're going to plan your cash position for this next 1 to 3 months. We know exactly what we want to do and why. And can we iterate on that? Absolutely. Every week, every 2 weeks, whatever that looks like, we'll iterate, we'll redo the cash plan. But I already set what my payments are. I know what my bank balance is. I know what my payments are. So it's a huge lift to actually just click a button and have those payments happen, as opposed to a regular workflow for a client, which would be, okay, well, I've just planned your cash. Now your admin has to go log in and produce an AP report. We've got to go put a bunch of check marks on the list as to what we want to pay. You got to go approve that. We'll go run that through Pluto or another system. And there's great electronic payment systems out there. And if you don't have that, it's even worse because you're doing checks. Like that whole iteration of a workflow process is now just click of a button because it's all based off your plan. And that's what we're really trying to achieve, is automating that, because there's such a huge lift. Like ultimately what I want to get Helm to is, it's pulling the money in automatically, it's calculating your future cash position automatically, and it's making your payments automatically. So it's a really low touch, fully automated controllership system. Is that going to be achievable? No, we all know that's not. Like these brains still have to fit somewhere in the middle, but can we enhance what people are doing? Like 1,000%. Absolutely. We can do that.
Yeah. And
that's what gets me jacked up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's such a, that's one where I think all of us who come in and serve and work with small business entrepreneurs, it's still the old cash flow is king thing, right? Cash is king, and proper management of cash is just everything. And so a tool, in an idealized situation, a tool that says, we're going to help you properly manage that against goals and against whatever our longer term vision is, fantastic. It may be a little bit out there, future state further down the road, but in the meantime, a good tool that says, hey, with a human element, makes that a much easier process versus a spreadsheet, or worse than that, like someone looking at a bank balance and maybe looking inside of an accounting system going, I don't know, I guess we go ahead and pay this bill now. Like, what the hell? Why not? Yeah, exactly. That
is what most people do. And it's like, oh crap, I forgot about my tax payments, and oh crap, I didn't have enough for that loan or payroll or that's the way most businesses run. And that's, with 2080, that's what we were always trying to eliminate, and people loved us for it. To be quite honest, like we had clients that we wanted to get rid of and we couldn't, because they felt so lost without that service offering. They literally were wanting to like double or triple what our monthly fees were to keep us, even though we didn't want to work with them. It's crazy. And so that was really one of the catalysts for getting us going. Like I fundamentally believe it's one of the most underlooked service offerings out there, because it is so high demand on the client side, like the small business owner side. It is what keeps everybody up at night. Black swan event like COVID just multiplied that exponentially. And so I think we're going to continue to see that for the next 2 to 3 to 4 years until we figure out what life looks like, in the new norm. And I hate using that term, but life's changed. And so people's financial situations have totally been turned. around. And, you know, you could have been a great business before, but if you're a fitness franchise, you probably had to lever up in order to make it. So your life's different now. And so
Very different.
cash was always king. Cash is going to be even more king, in my opinion, moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what, yeah, Matthew, you're gonna say something?
I was just gonna tell everybody Apollo wanted to make a cameo. He's been barking, so I let him.
Yeah.
I let him come in. So there's Apollo. Everybody everybody that's heard a bark in our podcast ever in the past. This is
So that means you've heard him many times. Yeah, this is the constant barking dog. So I guess one more question for you, then we'll kind of do a rating of our beers. We always finish with rating our beers. Did you guys have to go through so I feel like today everybody wants to be a payments company. Like it's really in vogue. Like I'm going to do payments. I want to do. I mean, like who doesn't? Like I feel like
or a bank.
Yeah.
Or I want to be a bank. I want to be a payments company.
Everybody
right?
loves or credit card. I'm just going to issue my own credit card, be my own.
Exactly. Right. We all want to do that. Yeah. Is that something you guys looked at? Like, and you decided, you know, I mean, is that how the Veeam thing came up? Like, how did that all?
Yeah, 100%. Like a lot of people ask why we partnered with Veeam. I mean, there was a lot of thought that went behind that, a lot of iterations. And I mean, ultimately, we love the Veeam people just like you do, all the exact same reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, their team's great. They've
Great
got a great
team.
vision. They've got a great product. Like, check, check, check. But the reality is, like, we looked at that space and we said, we could raise money and we could do it ourselves. Or we could take a different approach and play nice with people. And, you know, there's a lot of great payments companies out there and they're doing amazing things and they've got expertise that we do not have. And so that was a really strong decision maker for us, you know, because we looked at it and it's like, man, we could take another 2 to 3 years and spend tens of millions of dollars and still not be close to what Veeam could be. So why fight that? Why don't we, you know, together you can be a combined partnership and actually be better than either of yourselves once you make that partnership. And we truly believe that. And, you know, so the goal would be is to integrate with other, you know, whether it's AR or other AP people or funding. Like it really opens up the doors. Like what we want to focus on is controlling that cash and the planning and the workflow automations off of that. And so when you keep that in context, that's what we want to focus our time and efforts on. And so making partnerships really makes a lot more sense from that standpoint, because then we can partner with the best of the best and we can both be awesome at what we're good at.
Yeah, I know that when I saw that as a firm owner who uses actually both those tools, you know, we use Helm, we use Veeam, like it was really reaffirming to us. Like, oh, it's when we see, you know, certainly people we know in the space kind of partner together. Great for us. Those actually tech stack partners kind of partner. Like that's great validation of people. We always felt like of teams who know where their real strong value proposition is, kind of partnering together. We've seen situations before where, you know, different businesses want to get into everything. They want to I want to be a bank. I want to be a payments company. I want to do expense reporting. I want to do that. I mean, I want to do all these things. And it just, I think we all know that like it's hard to be that great at all those things. And then two, it's just not what we're seeing the small businesses and the clients want. Like they're okay these days picking like, hey, I don't mind I love having a custom accounting solution these days that I can actually get that is made up of a number of different like apps, a number of different partners. And so anyway, for us, it was like, oh, that's super cool. Like that, you know, the two teams are coming together to focus on this.
The caveat is as long as we don't ask them what they want, they're good with it. Because
that's true. Don't ever ask the client.
The 5,000 choices in the ecosystem, that's like makes your head hurt. So
that's true.
Yep, that's right.
We learned
But I think those ecosystems, I think that kind of speaks to what we're talking about here, and it really kind of proves the concept in of itself. Like there's a reason that Xero and QBO created and Sage created these huge ecosystems around their tools, and it's because you can make your own system better by partnering with other people and hooking into some really cool ideas. You know, like there's stuff that I know Veeam's going to do down the road because they're geniuses in the payment side of things. There's going to be some really cool things coming down the pipe that we as Helm will be able to leverage and provide to our customers just with a couple clicks of a button on the API side, which if we were to try to do that, again, you know, I'd have to go to San Francisco $5,000 plane trip, try to raise $50 million.
Yeah.
No big deal,
Like,
right?
No big deal.
No big
No
deal.
big deal. No big deal.
No biggie.
Jeez. So, all right. This is awesome, man. We've been. This is one of those we needed to have happen a long time ago, because I feel like it's been a long time since we've gotten to catch up face to face. But every time we do,
Totally.
lots of laughs, lots of good discussion, lots of good conversation. And I think that what you've done has certainly been incredibly fascinating from an accounting perspective, like, because you've got this, combination of a firm plus your tech startup in the space. Like, it's just very few people do that. So it's just a super fun, back to what Matthew said, yes, SaaS jealousness that we have. So you're like always a guest. We're like, we got to get Kelvin on here, and and we'll have to get TWyla on here. We'll get TWyla on here later, so that she can come correct all the things that you probably said incorrectly about
all the BS that came out of my mouth there.
Yeah.
That's not what happened. No.
That's not true. That's wrong.
This is really what went down.
And then after she responds, we'll have you both on together, and you can just have it out.
Oh, totally.
We should have done that.
Totally.
We should have just done that.
It'd be like one of those really bad, married, where they set people up when they're first getting married. Oh, what did he say versus what do you think? Yeah.
The old, what was that show? Like this old game show, like it's the what was it called? The Newlywed Show. That's what it was. The Newlywed Show. Because we should do that with you guys, and you guys can do that back to me and Matthew. Well, we'll be our own version of Newlyweds too. So
TWyla would have a heyday with that. She would love that.
Let's rate some beers. Matthew, I've already got it queued up here. The Tiger Shark. You and I will put in 2 ratings, since both of us will have a rating. But
I don't
Matthew,
think we have to average. Didn't we mess that up once?
Well, we can. I don't know. We can average. Well, let's just talk about it.
Okay. I'm gonna go.
So you can see.
Go 4.25 for this one, and the plus 0.25 for being an aquarium shout out. So I would go 4.5 normally.
I'm gonna go. This was awesome. I loved the beer, and friends gave it to us, and it's just very cool. Let's go 4.5. That's one of the higher ones we've ever rated on a 5. This is on a 5-point basis.
Over 4. So I get in the 4s frequently for these stouts, because I think they're underrated generally.
I think this one's fantastic. But here's what I'm going to also say about it too. I'm going to tell Atlanta Brewing, this is a great beer. I'm almost done with mine. But what makes it really special and great is the Rev's coffee. That's what's making it fantastic. So anyway, we're going to go 4.5 on this one. And let's pull up for Kelvin here, even though, he lived in Scotland.
It's not the regular.
I was going to say, you can't go wrong with something that's 7.2% either.
Oh, he's the foreign? Is he the foreign extra stout or the regular?
It's hard to know. Does that look like the?
I don't know. What am I? It's just extra stout here. It doesn't say foreign. It just says extra stout.
I think
let's try this one.
No extra. That looks like the bottle.
I think that's
this one.
Yeah.
Is this one?
That one? Yeah, that looks.
Yeah, alcohol content looks correct.
Canada, US. Yep.
That's right. It's got the Canadian version. All right, on a scale of 1 to 5. 0 to 5. Yeah. What
Am
do
I
you
allowed to give it a 5?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's what my dad did. 5. My dad gave his favorite beer a 5. He's like, I've looked at this for 40 years.
Yeah. This is like my go-to. It has to be a 5. Nothing else is going to be a 5 for me, but this is.
Yeah. Brings you back to your days of Scotland. Real quick, where in Scotland were you living?
I actually lived in Glasgow.
Glasgow.
The industrial city on the East Coast. It's an amazing place. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It's a great country. I've spent only about a week there, and it was a fantastic country. So anyway.
People are amazing. Glasgow I loved because it was kind of going through a little bit of a cosmopolitan regrowth. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Went to a university there. Took 1 year there.
Cool.
Tell you what, the days of travel, the days when we could go to foreign places.
Do it while you're young and before you have kids.
That's right.
I'm ready to come visit you as soon as your country will open it up for us, man.
Yeah, we're super excited about July coming.
And as soon as the temperature goes above, like,
hey, July. If things are open up in July, it'll be plus 36, whatever that is in Fahrenheit. What 90 something?
I'll go Google it.
Well,
hey Siri.
Matthew's got, you know, cowboy hats and boots. We'll get him some sequins and we'll come on up
Sequins.
there.
It can't just be like normal cowboy stuff. It has to be sequins. It's like the more gaudy, the better.
Like Dolly Parton-ish style.
Rhinestone
kind of
cowboy all the way.
Rhinestone
Oh,
cowboy.
yes,
That's
look forward
fantastic.
to it in July. So hopefully we get the
fantastic.
border opened up.
That's right. Appreciate you being on, man. Thanks so much for
Awesome.
being on, Kelvin. Thanks
For
everybody
sure.
for
Thanks for having me.
watching.
This is great.
And we'll catch everyone next time.
everybody.
Cheers, everyone.